Good morning, Facebook Live. This is Mike George coming at you live with a special edition. I always say these are special editions, but honestly, it's been a while since I've done a Facebook Live. It's been a while since I've really had anything I've been enthused about talking about. But since y'all got me on here, figured I'd do a little bit of a life update. For some of you guys out there, some of you gays, lesbians, queer folks et al., not Al Roker, happy Pride Month. And if Al Roker does identify as proud, then happy Pride to Al Roker too. And yeah, so Pride is interesting this year for me personally, given that I am in the middle of nowhere in Louisiana, and yeah, there's not a single gay bar in this town. So Pride this year, for me at least at this very moment, is pretty subdued. However, I like to think of Pride as less about the naked boys and the drag queens and the parades, and it's become more of a little excuse for a little bit of self-reflection. Not just reflection of ourselves, but reflection of where we've evolved to as a community. At least my perspective on it. But me. So a year ago, I was moving to Portland for a dream job that was kind of something that I'd wanted to do for quite a while. I lasted in that role for no more than a few months before things hit the fan in Portland, and had a really bad relationship out there. Had a lot of really bad relationships out there, not just a toxic partner, but also an entire group of friends that I inherited from that partner that was just as toxic, if not more so. So I think one of those things I like to reflect on is the people I've gotten to know, especially since, most of my friend circle, historically, at least in the last decade or so, has been in the queer community. So, I guess for me in the last 10 years, now I'm in rural Louisiana. Previously, I was in urban Portland, urban Columbus, and urban Montreal. So living the small town gay life is going to be a new adventure for me. But I will say about this area, I haven't been lynched for it yet. So that is a good thing. Yeah, just in terms of what you might consider the GLBT life down here. I wouldn't even go so far as to say queer life here, because it's still on phase one of being splashed with some rainbow here. But I've met a few individuals, individuals kind of in the area that I've made friends with, and then also the folks at work that I work with. I've kind of a nice little work family. In fact, let's talk about work a little bit, because work's been kind of fun. I've been doing a lot of, I don't know if anybody cares about this, but work-wise, I'm working for a small utility down in Louisiana, the Central Louisiana Electric Company. It's always interesting to kind of read about the history of power companies, because this little institution that I work at started out as an ice company. So this company started out, not even in electricity. They just they started out selling ice to people, and kind of doing the old ice delivery routes, throughout the rural communities. And I guess at one point, back in the 30s and 40s, back when electrification was kind of happening throughout other parts of the country, somebody got the idea, well, hell, it's a lot cheaper, easier, more efficient if we, if instead of delivering ice, by truck to people's houses, maybe we sell them air conditioners and sell them freezers, and couple that with electric service to run those freezers and air conditioners and whatnot. So kind of an interesting, obviously it's not the complete history. I've only been at this company for a month, so I don't have all the juicy details and drama behind all of the Clico lore. But yeah, it's been interesting, and having worked at AEP before and at Portland General Electric, which are both two other big power companies, which are big regional players. It's interesting to kind of compare the histories. AEP I worked in AEP transmission, which has some of the longest and I guess most extensive system of high voltage transmission networks, in the country. And you kind of learned that the very first transmission line from all that system was built to connect a big giant coal plant with the east coast of the United States, to basically traverse from Ohio to through West Virginia to get to the East Coast where DC and all that fun stuff is. So that's kind of how AEP kind of first started, back in its heyday. And it's just interesting that all these big energy companies, that now kind of do a little bit of everything. It's kind of interesting to kind of look back and see what simple humble roots some of these companies started out as. Anyways, that was a little bit of a tangent, but work-wise, it's been fun. Like, so in previous roles, I feel like to an extent, and to be very frank, I've gone a step backwards in my career. However, I will say that in previous roles, one thing that I always kind of wished that I had more of was more field experience, and more of the simple kind of day-to-day field experience of going out and fixing shit, repairing shit, and more of the hands-on kind of getting my boots on the ground and my hands dirty type of work. So I'm getting to do a lot more of that now, whereas in the past I'd be kind of the person in the office receiving all these notifications and issues about equipment problems, and then having to kind of do the analysis in the office, computer modeling and kind of all the mathematics and the the calculation of it. It's kind of cool to actually see the stuff more in person and to kind of have a chance to get my hands dirty with with equipment maintenance and keeping the system running. So that's been a nice challenge for me. The company itself has been kind of an interesting, working at going from a large institutionalized firm to a smaller kind of, I would maybe say more ad hoc institution. I wouldn't even say institution, maybe company. That'll be exciting. It'll be frustrating, obviously, because of a lot of process gaps, but also, as an engineer with a lot of ideas and a lot of obsession over process issues, that could be a good opportunity for me too. So that's kind of the way that work's been going and shit. Oh yes, romance-wise, I have a boyfriend. His name is Luke. He's this beautiful man that I met in Columbus. Luke Mardazza. So he's been amazing. And it's honestly it's still a new kind of budding relationship. We're still kind of feeling each other out. I feel very lucky to have, this kind of sounds odd to say, but I feel lucky to have a boyfriend. I feel lucky to have somebody who cares about me right now, just because, just being in Louisiana, I moved down here by myself, and even last year moving to Portland was a big move, and kind of, just the whole process of moving somewhere by yourself and having to start over and make new friends again, yada yada. So I'm doing that, but in Louisiana now, and it's needless to say, it's going to be an interesting challenge. And everybody down here, the things that people do down here. Everybody people enjoy hunting, people enjoy fishing. There's a little bit of outdoor camping. There's kind of an outdoor camping community here, and I have to kind of figure that out. But I'm not a hunter, I'm not a fisher, so I need to I'm still working on kind of finding my own little community of fellow troublemakers here. So anyways, this has been I don't know if I have too much else to say. I guess if we want to get really deep and talk a little bit about how I think this reflects to pride and how it relates to me being proud as an individual, that's a long discussion, and I don't know if I have enough battery or coffee for it. But in a nutshell, I will say I'm thankful. Obviously thankful for being employed again, and for kind of being in a healthy work situation. But I'm still bitter. I'm still very bitter. I'm definitely in a lesser position than I was a year ago, when so-called friends of mine and people that were in my life kind of imploded my Portland experience. And so it's been really hard to look back and compare me then and me now and not be angry about it, because, I mean, people in my life kind of fucked it up for me back then. And I think to myself, gosh, like, I could still be in Portland with this, better paying job in, in subject matter that I'm more interested with. But, at the same time, I'm here. So I don't know, I've been angry about it. I've asked myself, well, what should I have done differently? Basically, not hang out with those people, and it still fills me with a lot of anger. Fortunately, not enough anger to where I can still be chill with you guys without having a major fucking rage meltdown. But when we talk about pride, and if you want to talk about me being proud as whatever you want to say, proud as a gay person, proud as me and Mike George, proud as an engineer, proud as a 35-year-old man, living in 2021. I don't know. What do you guys think? What are you guys proud of? I mean, I'm not proud of a lot right now. Like, I guess, like, the things that I'm proud of is that we made it. I made it. We're here in the summer of 2021, and the people are starting to take their masks off, and people are starting to get back to normal. But, like, what are we proud of? Like, what have we learned from this? How have we grown as a country? And, like, how have we grown as individuals? Like, with our own, how have we coped with the year of this? And I mean, like, I'm sure I'm not the only one with a story of how I am, in a slightly worse place now than I was last year. But gosh, I mean, how can you be proud of that? I mean, I guess pride really, for me at least, requires a little bit of reframing on the question of what it is that you're proud of. So let me go through and kind of list off things that I'm proud of. And then we'll start off with a gay one. Why not? I'm proud to be gay. I mean, I guess in terms of, like, my place within the gay community or the queer community or whatever, I'm proud that I've been able to, kind of do my part in the community. It's been a while since I've really been engaged with it, but I reflect fondly on some, a lot of the volunteer work that I've done. A lot of the events that I've had the opportunity to throw that have brought queer communities together in places that I've worked at before, in Montreal and Dayton and Columbus. So that community aspect of it is really awesome. However, like, this last year has shown us the limits of that community. The community was not here for me when I was going through a lot of crisis. A lot of individuals in my life were, and I'm still really thankful for the help that that a lot of you have given me on monetarily, quite frankly, during my last few months when I was homeless in Portland and Chicago and everything. Like, all of that feels now like a dream, but it's a dream that I woke up from still angry. And I thought, like, man, I remember thinking, man, I had never really, I had been comfortable for a while, and, like, maybe this whole being poor and living on the streets thing and scrounging for money thing, maybe it would be kind of one of those coming of age experiences for me where I evolved from being a naive and bougie kind of sheltered boy to, a man who knows how the real world works. And while that experience has been really awesome for that, for really opening my eyes up to, the real struggle out there and kind of how people behave in those, like, I guess the experiential, the experience of it all. But, and I really want to tell myself that it was a learning experience and that it grew me a little bit, but I don't. I still feel angry, and I feel like, I feel like this shouldn't have happened. None of this needed to happen. And the only thing that I can hope to be proud of, I guess, in general, is that we've all learned from it, and that we get better, and that we don't make the same mistake again. And that's unfortunately, that pride is not something I can take for. That's not pride. That's just a hope. That's a hope. And I have to say I'm not proud. I'm not proud of a lot of things right now. But I'm happy. But I am grateful. So I guess maybe gratitude would be the better. Man, I don't even know if gratitude would be the right word to use, because it's definitely. I feel grateful, but still angry. I don't know what kind of gratitude still comes with a feeling of anger and revenge associated with it, but mine does. But that's good, because it gives me some motivation, some spirited motivation. And anyways, I think I've ranted enough on here. So, in the spirit of pride, find your spirited motivation under there, whether it's fueled by anger, love, or just some sort of yearning for things to be right and make sense. Find that, because I think when I compare, I think I would rather be driven by anger and hate than by nothing at all. And I have to be careful saying driven by anger and hate. That's a tricky thing. Converting hate into something positive is a little bit of a messy art form. And so find that spirit in you. Find that spirit in you that wants to change things. And if you don't want to change things, if you're happy with things the way they are now in your life, then celebrate that, and be grateful for the people that came before you, that gave you the that basically that you're whose shoulders you're essentially resting on. So on that note, happy Pride, y'all. Be safe out there and spread some love. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. So long for now.